You may be hearing about family and friends having unusual patterns of liver disease, and nobody quite understands why. And this is why I'm doing a deep dive, looking at all the relevant factors this here: infection, autoimmunity, toxins, poor diet, medication, alcohol. The assumption is usually alcohol is the biggie, but everything I'm seeing now is pointing to one or both of these two factors, infection or autoimmunity, as potentially the cause for what is going on. Don't underestimate how serious this is. And very few people are talking about it, if any. I only knew about it because I did the data deep dive. 186 million hospital admission ICD codes in the UK, and it has come up with some stunning information. This is what I'll be sharing very shortly in why is toxic liver disease rising across every age group. You have no reason not to join me in this presentation. I usually enjoy taking the questions, coming up with ideas and theories as to what is going on. If there are no free tickets left, because there are usually some, you can do a donation, anything you want, but you have no excuse if you have any interest in this not to be aware of what exactly is happening. So I'm just going to share with you a few ideas as to the kind of dive that I'm doing and why I think this is very, very relevant. So this is the kind of data that I'm looking at. K71, which is looking at liver disease, toxic liver disease to be exact. And you can see when it's alcoholic liver disease, it's K70. Toxic is K71. And they break it down by these major ICD codes. And what you can see very clearly here is this red line is going off the scale. K71 ICD code, toxic liver damage. Now, what is unusual is that when you look down at the bottom here, you will notice that things like hepatitis is stable. Even alcoholic liver disease had a minor rise and then flattened. The one that is going off the scale here is to do with toxic liver disease. So I'm trying to figure out what in the world is going on. And when you look at it very carefully, and this is a further breakdown of the ICD code, because the code K71 shows you the overall characteristic, then it's broken down into more detail. And here you have K71.0 with cholestasis, that's to do with bile acids. Then 71.1, hepatic necrosis, point 2, acute hepatitis. And then you have K71.6 with hepatitis. And you can see this is the one that is going off the scale. Unspecified as well is rising rapidly. So these two represent the ones that I'm focused on in the next few days. So this is what I'm saying is I'm seeing what is happening. So why toxic liver disease is rising across every age group. This is what we're focused on. I can see what is happening, but we can't necessarily say what exactly is the cause. Further thoughts that I want you to take a look at. And there are some important details that I think are quite relevant when we look across age groups. And this is another bit that tells you that something isn't right. All the age groups, 18 to 29, you can see it here, 30 to 34, 45 to 59, 60 to 74, over 75. In every single cohort, you can see 2020 flat, 2021, some rise in the 45 to 59, flat for the 18 to 29. This was the time of the active COVID infection, up to the Delta wave, so to speak. Then we see, especially for younger people, up to 2023, suddenly it goes off, shoots off, rising in a way that we don't fully understand. So this is not in your imagination. You'll be hearing about this, but nobody quite knows why This is the one that is going off the scale. This is what I'm trying to answer. And looking at particular patterns with regards to it. I'm just trying to find one more set of images to show you. I think I've got the same image here. But the point here is that when I look at the patterns, the question is, what are the three primary drivers? And so this is what I'll be covering in this upcoming presentation. Three primary drivers. What do I think they are? You can see an inflamed liver here. What really could be driving it? A lot of people have assumed it's alcohol. Makes sense. People are drinking more, but in reality, people are drinking less. Food, they're talking about obesity. More people are obese, but we know people who had obesity had the risk of severe COVID and dying. And when you look at obesity levels, they haven't risen that much. So it shouldn't necessarily be that. Toxins, they're always there. We shouldn't see a surge right after 2020 to 2021. What's left here are these three: COVID, autoimmunity, and this is to do with medication. I think that it's going to be a combination of these three. And this is what I'm likely to be focused on as to why the liver is more vulnerable at this stage of the pandemic than before. What is going on? These are real numbers. I'm not making this up. This was taken over the past few years. Unbelievable numbers that we are seeing. And as to finish off, because this is just, I still have to do the preparation for the presentation, so I want to focus on this. As I said, when we look at the case 71 broken down in terms of detail, you can see here that it is hepatitis, unexplained hepatitis, as well as unspecified liver disease, brown and red, that are rising quite significantly. 500% rise for this, 227 rise for unspecified. We don't fully understand. This is what we need to explain. Now, some people may disagree with my explanation when I do the presentation. No hold, and I'll not hold nothing back when I'm talking, because it's a private conversation, so to speak, if you come and join the webinar. So I'll be able to tell you exactly what I'm thinking. But the point is that very few people even know this is occurring. And I didn't know until I did the breakdown and saw this pattern of an extrapolation in toxic liver disease. Something is not right. We need to figure it out. We need to have answers. We need to potentially find solutions, because if we can identify who is at risk, we can therefore potentially mitigate some of the impact that is happening across the way. Just looking quickly here, saw in the comments, Guillain-Barré syndrome and myasthenia gravis on the rise in Bangalore. I agree. Autoimmune diseases, very, very important. Is it COVID or well, this is exactly what we need to figure out. What is going on? And this is the reality that we have at the moment. Not only do we not understand fully what's happening, there seems to be little incentive to actually ask the hard questions. That's what I'm doing. I'm not shying away from the hard questions. Everything is on the table, in my view. Nothing is off the table when you're looking for answers. You therefore will be determined to find an explanation. There are many people who would want you to say that it's unlikely to be this. I say, until you can tell me exactly what the mechanism is, it is on the table. It has to be part of the analysis. This is where we are, inconvenient science, but it is what we have to do. So again, final reminder, join me coming up in the next few days. Why is toxic liver disease rising across every age group up to 500% in some specific codes. We need to understand. I'll be sharing with you my analysis. Look forward to seeing you shortly. Have a great evening. Have a great evening.